Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show, the Customer Service Revolution Speaker Spotlight. As you know, this is the opportunity that I have to get to spend some time with some of the fabulous speakers that we have coming to the Customer Service Revolution Conference, which is quickly approaching. It is this September, the 11th and 12th, 2019, in beautiful downtown Cleveland, Ohio. So if you don't have your tickets yet, you got to get those soon, and I'll have some information how you can in just a moment here. But first, I'm so excited about our guest today, Christine Cashen. Thank you so much for making some time for us.
Hello.
So I'm excited about today, especially because this year, for those that don't know, you are going to be the Customer Service Revolution MC. You are running the show.
I'm taking it over, baby. I can't
You
wait.
are.
Yeah.
So for the Christine Cashen fans out there, and I know there are a lot of them, it's 2 full days of Christine.
Oh, might be too much. Yeah, no, it's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun.
I am really looking forward to it. So for those of you who don't know who Christine is, and I can't imagine there's many of you, but there might be a couple. Let me share a little bit about Christine's background because it's really interesting. What I like about your background is you have a varied amount of work experience that you've done. So you were working in higher education, right, as an admissions counselor. You were also a corporate trainer, which I think is pretty interesting because there's probably a lot of tie into what you're doing today.
Right.
And then you jumped over into the speaking business, and you've been doing speaking for 20 years now, and have just built an amazing career. And so some of the highlights of your career. Well, first of all, if you look at Christine's website, it's truly a who's who of corporate America. If you're looking at your client list, it's amazing the companies that you've worked with. And then not only that, but the two books that you have published, they're both award-winning books. The first title is The Good Stuff, which I love. And then the second one is It's Your Business, and it's all about good stuff for your personal, professional, and funny business. So we'll talk about those in a little bit as well. But to me, the most impressive thing is that you are a member of the Speaker Hall of Fame. And for those that don't know, that is no easy feat. So
Yeah, it's a
congratulations.
nice honor. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. It's well deserved. So thank you for joining us today again, and thanks for being the MC. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's coming up, man, right away.
Yeah.
Get your
So
tickets.
again, for those that don't know you well or haven't seen you, they might not know that you are extremely funny. And so my first probing question for you, Christine, is because I know that inquiring minds want to know, how did you become so funny? Was it were you the kid in school that was the class clown that just always had it naturally, or was it something that you kind of worked on and built on over time?
I got in trouble a lot. And I totally blame my family for my humor. I come from a long line of just funny people. And, it's one of those things that as a kid, you never appreciated it. You just wanted everyone to get serious and stop messing around. But now I just really appreciate it. I think about growing up, I'm Irish and Italian. And my Italian side especially is just, they're very funny. My grandpa, I remember him saying, all comedians, no money. Everyone had to outdo each other. One time, my mom, we were being featured, our family, in a college magazine for Central Michigan University, where I was going to school. And so the photographer came to our house to do this photo shoot. My mom answered the door. Here's me with the photographer, answered the door. She had blackened in her front tooth as a joke. And to see what they'd say, of course, I was mortified. But that was so many years ago. And to this day, if you talk to the photographer, he'd say, how's that crazy mom of yours? Do you remember that whole tooth thing? Well, of course. How could you forget, But yeah, I think making people laugh is just, there's nothing quite like it. And to laugh. It's just, I think we need humor now more than ever. And if I can help with that, it makes my heart happy.
Oh, that's great. One thing I forgot to mention, I neglected to mention when I was introducing you, was your time as a broadcaster as well. And I'm just curious, to make the jump into being a professional Hall of Fame public speaker, I imagine that you've drawn from all your previous positions, whether it's broadcasting, training in the corporate world, in higher education. You find yourself still drawing from that, from those previous experiences?
Oh, all the time. Dave, I'll tell you, people ask me, how'd you get in this? And it's like every job I had, the only thing I was good at was the public speaking part. And I thought, how do I do this all the time. And so I feel extremely grateful to be able to do that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I find myself in the same boat too. I feel that that's one of the things that I can do well, and I feel like I am a sum of all my previous positions. And if I didn't have all those positions, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. They all kind of help build to get me here.
Absolutely.
That's great. So, Christine, one of the things that I love about you is your focus on being creative, right? So, on top of your role this year and your job of keeping the customer service revolution moving along as the MC and making sure we're on time and we're on track, and sometimes with some of our speakers that can be difficult. I know that firsthand. So that's going to be a tough task, right
Yeah.
out the gate. But you're also going to share some great tools with us that you talk about when you're presenting across the globe, and you always are able to bring it back to being creative, and which I really like because I feel like there's not enough of that these days. I think it's a thing that corporate America could really focus a little more on these days. So I'm just curious. What are some of the tips that maybe you can share with us a little bit to get people? I think organizations want to be more creative on purpose, if that makes sense. And how can they start to get there?
I think it's a culture that needs to be developed, because what happens is people get together and they say, all right, let's come up with a great idea. They look around the table and nobody has anything to say. When they do say something, it's like, oh, we don't have the money. Oh, you must be new here. I mean, ideas are shot down regularly. Who wants that kind of feedback? So I feel like if companies could start having ways for people to share their ideas, no matter what their position is. Sometimes the administrative person at the front desk has the best ideas, but they've never been asked before. What is a way to get employee engagement in brainstorming in a true storm? Because most people don't brainstorm, they have brain drizzles or brain droughts. You want to have a brain hurricane. And how do you do that? Well, it's honoring the idea and judging it later. Because I think too many people judge them too soon.
Mm.
And there's a time to do that, but not in the first initial stages of brainstorming. So what I'm going to do is sprinkle in some tips to help build that creative culture and climate where people feel like it's a safe place to share their ideas, and how to do it, some creative ways and games and tips and tools on how to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point too. There are some people out there, and this might be part of the problem that we have in corporate America today. There are some people out there that almost feel it's their job just to poke holes and find those problems and to find the reason that we can't.
Yes, always.
Yeah.
Always. And, people say there's no such thing as a stupid idea. And that's really a lie. There's a lot of them, but sometimes you can piggyback to make it good, but we never get there because we're so quick to judge. And also, a lot of people are trying to be creative when they're under stress, and the brain doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
How do we get people to lighten up? And that's when the creativity comes. When you ask people where you get your ideas, it's rarely in a meeting or at the office. It's exercising, working out right before you go to bed at night, daydreaming. Those are the places. It's rarely work because we're too locked down in stress mode. So how do we unlock the creativity by lightening up the work situation? So I'll have some ideas for that too.
That's a good point you bring up. I never thought about that way, but sometimes we force ourselves. You brought up pressure, and we force ourselves where we have that pressure to be creative because either we weren't thinking about it early enough, or we have to come up with that great idea because something went wrong, and that's a horrible time to try and be creative.
Yeah, that's why in the middle of the night you're like, that's the idea, but at the time you couldn't think of whatever it was that you wanted because you were too locked in.
Right. Yeah. You talk about also being in the right mindset, and you have a couple of techniques that you share. I don't want you to give everything away because the revolution is going to be so fantastic. You're going to be sharing so many great ideas, but can you share a couple, because you bring up a great point where sometimes we owe it to our team members to include them, and they may not be used to being part of these sessions.
Right. There was one company that I spoke for that started an idea program where it was actually a sheet where you say, here's the idea, what this idea is good for, problems with the idea, what to do about the problems, and what I need help, what you need help with to formulate the idea. And then on the back, it had a feedback form. What you like about the idea, problems you see, what you can do to overcome it. Let's take ideas and not just throw, a suggestion into a black box, a suggestion box.
Right.
Instead, really think through, like, this is good. Here's the problem. Here's what we can do and what I need from you. And how do we keep it going? And maybe everybody submits one of these, and then they all go into a pot that next year you pick one of the ideas, whether you use it or not, it doesn't matter. And that person gets their birthday off next year. Or maybe there's a reward for it, but then, or maybe they lay them all out and people rank them or decide which ones they actually can work together. And then they brainstorm those ideas as a group. But just to get people thinking about it all the time, not just at meetings.
Yeah. And, as you're speaking, I'm thinking when you're out there on the road and you're presenting to large corporations, you probably get some pushback from time to time of why this won't work here, why we're different.
Always.
Yeah. So how do you answer that? Because I imagine if as long as people are applying your tools, it's going to work.
Yeah, and sometimes start with the small things. Maybe it's getting people to work on time. Maybe it's getting meetings to end on time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's start with the small things before you start trying to handle a bigger problem. Because all companies have the same issues, it seems like. It doesn't matter who they are. Well, let's work on, because whatever you're doing isn't working if it's still happening, right? So find a new way of doing it and see what the results are. That'll speak for itself.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great point. And so the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I've seen you talk about this in the past, is the what if game. And it's kind of like what you were just mentioning with the suggestion box, but not putting it in that black hole that goes nowhere, but having those conversations. Can you share a little bit about the what if game? Because I find this really interesting.
Sure. What it is, it's an idea quota. And so let's say you do want to get your team together to come up with ideas, to really get the storm storming. You're not allowed to judge. You've got to come up with 25 solutions to every problem. And people are like, 25? There's no way we're going to get there. Well, you do if you don't judge. Let's say you have a negative employee. Well, what if we videotape them? What if we give them electric shock? What if and people are like, oh, you can't do that. We're not judging. We're just playing a game. What if we kill them with kindness? What if we find them a new job? What if we have them telecommute? And you come up with ideas, 25, and then you look at the top 3 best, top 3 crazies, and is there anything in there that is workable? And it's amazing because there's a link between the aha of a new idea and the ha-ha of laughter. So the ideas that you're like, that's ridiculous. Wait a minute. That might actually work. I've seen it before. It's really a great tool. It's fast. Everybody contributes because they're not getting judged. And sometimes you come up with a pretty great idea. Sometimes the crazy ones are just crazy enough to work. Yeah,
that's right. I love the saying that there's a tie between the aha and the ha-ha, because there is.
Yeah. Because that's when your brain relaxes again, right? That's when your brain, like the left and right hemisphere, they flow together. And that's when the ideas can, rather than just locked in stress mode.
That's excellent. So let me ask you a personal question, Christine. What are you most worried about as far as coming to MC the Customer Service Revolution in September? Because I know you know this. I know you're fully capable, but there are some big shoes that you are filling of past MCs, including Neen James and Tim Gard and Holly Steele.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. I think part of my my talents that I bring in the briefcase is that I have a background in improvisational theater. So I look forward to things coming my way and seeing how I can react to it. It breaks you out of your, the MC trance to kind of play with the audience. I think it'll be a different approach. I'm up for the challenge, and I'm just excited. There's some amazingly talented presenters that are going to be there, and so not only am I excited to get to be part of the event, but to watch them and learn from them also.
Absolutely. We know you're up for the challenge, and we can't wait to have you back. My last question for you, and as a past speaker of the Customer Service Revolution, you know firsthand who our audience is, right? They are business owners, business leaders, people that understand that customer experience really makes a difference, that it's worth focusing on, it's a worthwhile investment. So what are you most excited about sharing with them again this year?
Oh my gosh. You hit the nail on the head, Dave. Customer service is everything.
It is.
I want to actually personally invite some companies to come and attend this. Hopefully, they can learn something. Uh, I love the focus this year, which is on a relationship economy. And
Yeah.
isn't that the truth? I will go across town because I really like dealing with the people there. In fact, my banker, I've got one closer, a branch closer to me, but I drive an extra 10 minutes because I love all the people in that branch.
Mm-hmm.
So it really matters. And it just takes one bad experience for people to not come back. But man, it takes one experience for someone to treat someone like they matter and that they're actually important, and to go the extra mile, and that they're not an interruption.
Yes.
I'm always amazed at people that don't look at this as relationships, because that's everything. So the fact that that's the focus this year, I think, is incredibly smart, and that's going to be really good.
It sure is. And you're absolutely right. And I love what you bring, the fact of the focusing on being creative and including everyone, because that's so important. Because a lot of times, as you said, the person at the front desk, or maybe the person who's on the front line answering phone call after phone call, they have the experience. They may have the best ideas. They may have the most to bring to the table.
Absolutely.
All right, Christine. Well, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. I'm really excited to have you back in town and hosting this year's Customer Service Revolution. It's going to be fantastic. We always say to John, my boss, that every year it just keeps getting better and better, and it does. And this year it's going to be the best. I just know.
Yeah, people don't even realize how special this event is. So if you are on the fence, those of you watching or listening, you just have to come and experience it. People come back year after year, and there's a reason why. So don't miss it. We will see you there.
But if you are watching us live, you do have to hurry, because the Customer Service Revolution is September 11th and 12th of 2019. So it's less than a month away if you're watching live. There are limited seats still available. So if you go to our website, customerservicerevolution.com, you can get all the information you need right there. Or you can reach out to anyone here at the DiJulius Group. We'd be happy to help you as well. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone in Cleveland on September 11th and 12th. And Christine, we will see you back in Cleveland on September 11th and 12th. I can't wait.
Cleveland rocks, baby.
That's right. Well, thank you again for your time, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks, Christine.